Welcome to part 7 of my series of videos on watercolor painting for the absolute beginner. This is my final video and I'm finally going to demonstrate how to paint this little vase of roses that I've been talking about throughout this series. So we're going to start with the center rose. I'm not drawing this out. This is a very freeform style of painting. It's very loose. It's going to look different than this one, the one I paint here, and yours is going to look different as well. So don't try to copy it exactly. It's okay to have variations. So I'm going to start with the center flower, and I'm doing that, the dark value in the center of the flower. I'm going to dilute that paint and do these outer, diluting it even more, doing the outer petals. I'm going to dip back in and get a more saturated color, and the next one I'm going to paint is actually going to be this one. Doing the little C shapes in the center. I'm going to dilute the paint to get that middle value. And dilute it even more to get these outer petals. If you didn't get it dark enough in the center, you can go back in here and just kind of darken that center up if you feel like you didn't get enough paint in there. That's okay to do. Once again, I'm going to do the center of this flower, making the little C shapes and overlapping them. I'm going to dip into my water to dilute the paint for those middle petals, pressing down, lifting up. And I'm diluting the paint with water one more time for these outermost petals. Getting a more saturated color again. I'm going to do this outer rose. Diluting the paint. For the final rose, I'm getting the saturated color again and doing those inner small little C shapes, diluting the paint for those middle value petals, and diluting it even more for some of the outer petals. I've cleaned my palette. I'm going to go into my ultramarine blue and I'm going to paint the vase. So this vase uses the flat wash technique that I taught in a previous video. And it also incorporates the C shape. So you're going to load your brush up with kind of a medium value of blue. You want to get a fairly decent sized puddle here. I'm going to mix a little more paint on my palette. And you're going to start just under the center rose and make a C shape. And then you're going to mirror that on the other side. You're going to touch and come down. And now you have the basic shape of the vase. And just connect them at the bottom. And then dip back into your puddle and just kind of go around, connecting kind of the wet edge to the previous one. And as you can see, I have a little highlight here. The way I do that is I just kind of don't paint that little sliver there, and then just fill it in. It's okay if it bleeds into some of the wet paint from the rose. That's okay. This style of painting is very free form, and you don't want it to be, it doesn't have to be exact. So I have a little base here on my vase, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a C shape, and I'm going to mirror that on the other side, and then I'm going to connect them. And then I'm just simply going to fill in, again, leaving a little white space. You can go over it a little bit to kind of refine the edges and get a shape you're happy with. So now we have the vase and we have the flowers, and next I'm going to work on the leaves. So I've cleaned my palette. I'm going to dip into the green paint. And this is the leaf shape. So it's touch the tip of the brush, press down, and lift up. Get a little more paint. Touch the tip of the brush to the paper, press down, and lift up. And then I'm going to have to turn a little bit. It's okay to turn your paper. I'm going to touch, press down, and lift up to get those leaves. Over here I'm going to do the same thing. Touch, press down, lift up, touch, press, and lift. And I'll put one in here and one here. Get a little more paint and put a couple in on this side. And then if you want to, you can put a few just little dabs of green in between the flowers to kind of give the painting a little bit of depth. So that concludes this series. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. Just practice this a bunch of times. As you can see, this one came out very different from my original. For one, I probably spent more time doing the original, and I wasn't recording it on my phone at the time, so every painting as you do is going to come out a little bit different. Don't get discouraged. Keep at it. Keep practicing. I hope this has been helpful, and thanks for watching.